Alrighty, Chumba. You got yourself some real solid gear. You got yourself some strapped up with some real solid iron. You chipped the best cyberware for the occasion. You think you're ready to go out and, zero a couple of gangers. Well, I got news for you. You got to be handy with that iron. You got to be able to use that cyberware you just chipped if you're going to survive out on the streets of Night City here. And I'm here to make sure that you do just that. I'm here to make sure you survive. So, I'm going to I'm going to run you through the gauntlet and teach you how to fight. Yep, at last we're going to go ahead and take a look at some combat and see what we can do from the moment combat is announced all the way up through what we can do on our first turn. We might even do a little bit of shooting. So, let me get that prepared. Alright, so here we go. It starts on page 167. Gonna be looking at Friday Night Firefight. If the video comes off a little weird, I do apologize. My monitor's just a little bigger. So, joining us today is our new solo, Morgan Something Hand. I rolled him up because I kept losing character sheets. Don't worry, I saved this and I rolled a net runner for us to use later on as well. So like I said, we are going to go ahead and progress from the moment you hear the words roll for initiative up through what you can do on your turn and maybe a little shooting. It all depends. So with that being said, let's get to it. So combat is divided into turns, each of which takes approximately 3 seconds. The amount of time it takes each entity involved in the combat to take a turn is a round. Because actions happen roughly simultaneously in game, one round is also approximately 3 seconds long. So, when combat starts, everybody rolls initiative. Your initiative is reflex plus 1d10. So, we come over to our character sheet. We look at our reflex, which is 8, and we roll a d10. So 8 and 5 is 13. Now, it functions roughly the same as Dungeons and Dragons. All participants in the combat place themselves according to their initiative roll into what we call initiative queue in descending order. Resolve ties by rolling again until the higher number wins. Wow. Combat proceeds in initiative queue order, with each entity in the initiative queue getting a turn. When the bottom is reached, you start all over again. So, and it's not players then enemies in initiative queue, it's players and enemies mixed in, like you said, the book said, descending order. So during your turn, you get one move action and one other action. Every turn, a character gets one move action and one action. Brief actions, and there's quite a few. You get a move action, so move up to as many meters or yards as your move stat times 2 each turn. Morgan Something Hand has a move stat of 6, so he can move 6 meters times 2, 12 meters in a singular action. You can attack, so make a melee or ranged attack. You can, I don't know why he put grab at the bottom, but anyway, you can grab someone, and it's literally just grab and hold an opponent or take away an object they are holding. You can choke someone, which means you choke them if you have them grabbed up. You can equip or drop a shield. Both equipping and dropping counts as an action. So if you want to equip a shield, takes an action. If you want to drop a shield, takes an action. You can get into a vehicle, that takes an action. You can get up after being prone, that takes an action as well. But you have to use that before you can move. You can hold an action. So that's not that doesn't involve, the grab action. It means hold an action until later in the initiative queue. You must choose a specific event to trigger the action or a specific number in the initiative queue when the action occurs, as well as what the action is and what its intended target is. Say it's your turn, but you're trying to get somebody in a line of sight, right? You can hold your attack action until and we're under the assumption that you are trying to snipe somebody off. You can hold your attack action until they come into your line of sight. That could be your trigger. Or, again, with the sniper analogy, you can hold your action until said person gets violent with another team member, or so on and so forth. It's holding an action, determining a trigger, and allowing that action to take place on your next turn or somebody else's turn. You can use somebody as a human shield as long as you've grabbed them. You can reload, you can run. Now, running takes your second action. So and you can only run if you have taken a move action. So you can use your move action to move 12 in our case 12 meters, and then you can use your run action to run another 12 meters. You can start a vehicle, you can stabilize somebody who needs healing or needs pulled out of the mortally wounded state, which we've discussed in the explaining the executive video. You can throw a grabbed opponent to the ground or throw an object. If you're a net runner, you can use net actions. If you can manipulate an object in a way that doesn't require a skill. Drawing or dropping a held weapon does not require this action, but stowing a held weapon on your person does. So if you are pulling your weapon off of your person, like drawing it out of a holster, that requires an action. But throwing your weapon on the ground does not. Putting your weapon back in your holster does require an action. You can use one of your skills, and you can drive your vehicle. Now, and this is where things get kind of interesting. You're not exactly you don't exactly have to use all of your movement to run an attack. In the section titled Split Movement and Rate of Fire, it kind of details this. We'll go ahead and read it out. Combat in Cyberpunk Red is fast-paced and fluid. Whenever you move using your move action, you can take your action in the middle of that move action and keep moving afterwards. We call this splitting, and it's not just for move actions. Some types of attacks are faster than others, capable of striking or shooting twice with a single attack action. These are called two rate of fire attacks, or 2 ROF. All attacks from 2 ROF sources can be split across a move action. You can move, shoot, move. You can even make a single attack from each of 2 different rate of fire sources by splitting your 2 attacks across the 2 of them, allowing them to both be used in a single turn. So yes, you can use the heavy pistol in your left hand to take a shot down the hallway, then walk down that disgusting hallway to stab your victim with the machete in your right hand. Attacks from one rate of fire source are slower and take your whole attack action, but you can split your movement around them. My reading comprehension is just hell and hell right now. Anyway, so let's take a look at Morgan Somethinghand, okay? If you take a look at his heavy pistol and his combat knife, his heavy pistol has a 2 rate of fire, and his combat knife has a 2 rate of fire. If we take a look at his move, it is a 6, which means we move double that. So in meters. So we move 12 meters. We can move. Oh, how do I want to frame this? We can move 3 meters, shoot at somebody, then move another 3 meters and shoot at somebody again. And then move your remaining 6 meters to like get in and out of get back into cover or something to that effect. So, or like they said, you can move 3 meters, shoot at somebody, move move another 6 meters, stab the person you shot, and then move another 3 meters away from that person. So that is splitting your action. When it comes to assault rifles, though, which have a rate of fire of 1, what you have to do is move 6 meters, take a shot, and then move another 6 meters. That's how you would split that one. Now, on top of just running and moving, you can swim, climb, and jump with a running start, and they all cost 2 meters of movement for every meter traveled, or 2 squares for every 1 square. If you have a battle map in front of you, that would be really handy to look at. So, again, our move is 6. If we get a running start and jump, we jump 3 meters forward. Now, when you only jump from like standing, like just standing still, you decide, oh, I'm going to jump. You would jump. We'll just read that real quick. When jumping from standing, you can clear half the distance that you could with a running start. See taking damage later in this section for more on falling and drowning. We'll worry about that later. For the purposes of this video, we just need that little bit of information there. Seeing as how we can jump 3 meters with a running start, we could only jump 1.5 meters from a regular standing position. Next is aimed shots. So you can also make an aim shot. At a maximum of 1 rate of fire, you can aim a single ranged or melee attack by taking your entire action and a -8 to your check to aim for any of these special areas. If you hit, you deal the attack's damage as normal, and you also get an additional effect based on the special area you aimed for. There is cyberware that helps with ranged shots. I do believe I gave our guy some. No, I didn't. Oh well. But it's under the Cyber Eyes. It's under Cyber Eyes. Basically, it's just telescopic zoom in your eye. Anyway, if you're aiming for the head, you multiply the damage that gets through your target's head armor by 2. So, let's say that you roll a 14 for damage and the head is covered by light armor jack, which is an 11 SP. You would deal 3 damage and multiply that by 2. I'll explain that. Okay. Breathe. So let's just go ahead and talk about damage real quick. When you deal damage, it has to get through the armor first. Okay? And looking at weapons and armor. I hope you guys can see this. We'll just zoom in real quick. Yeah, we'll just zoom in real quick. You see that I have it separated. Light armor jack for the head is an SP of 11, and light armor jack for the body is also an SP of 11. These are two separate values. That means that means your character does not have an armor rating of 22. He has an armor rating of 11 for the head and an armor rating of 11 for his body. Now, going back to the analogy, the example I was stuttering over, let's say that you roll a 14 for damage, okay? 11 of that damage is going to be absorbed by the light armor jack, right? Leaving you with 3 carryover damage going straight to the player, or to the character. In the head section of aim shot, you would multiply that 3 times 2 for a total of 6 damage. And this next part happens normally whether you take an aim shot or not. The armor the other character is wearing is reduced by 1. So that 11 becomes a 10. That's called armor ablation. You can also take an aimed shot for a held item, which if a single point of damage gets through your target's body armor, your target drops 1 item of your choice held in their hands. It lands on the ground in front of them. So let's say you decide to take aim for their gun and it hits, they drop their gun. And if you aim for the leg, if a single point of damage gets through your target's body armor, your target also suffers the broken leg critical injury if they have any legs left that aren't broken. So you break a leg. And finally, we're drawing, dropping, and stowing. Drawing an easily accessible weapon into a free hand isn't an action. Dropping a held weapon to the ground isn't an action, but stowing it on your person is an action. One exception, equipping and dropping a shield takes an action. We'll take a look at using a shield later on. And then, of course, reloading. It takes an action to fully reload and replace a magazine with a singular ammunition type. You cannot mix ammunition types into a magazine. So, that's just your turn. I think next episode we will go ahead and take a look at ranged combat here, as well as alternate fire modes and some of the special weapons here. For now, I think we're going to call it. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I know I tripped over myself quite a bit, but I was doing this pretty much unscripted. I usually have at least, bullet points for some sort of plan of action. I'd also like to apologize for my last upload, as it turned out like shit. At least the audio did. There were 2 different sources trying to record audio, and it was just a whole mess. However, if you did find this video helpful, even with all of my tripping, I would like to ask you guys to like the video, maybe leave a comment, and hopefully, if I've earned it, your subscription. For now, chooms, I'm gonna take off and go to bed. I love you all, and I'll see y'all later on.